Blossom, what's that?
Throughout this video, I will show evidence that confirms as true the theory that all Disney animated series are connected, share timelines, and certain series take place in the human world, and some series take place on different planets, but through a magical portal can travel to the human world where the other series take place. That is why I am going to present Star versus the Forces of Evil, Gravity Falls, Amphibia, and the Owl House are highly connected. The character of one series has appeared in another series. We're also going to talk about how Uncle Stan and Edalyn got married in Las Vegas. And there's a good chance that Eda got pregnant by Stan. At one point in the great adventure that Ford had when traveling to multiple dimensions and planets, he made it to the Boiling Islands where he left clues to let us know he was there. In this video, I will show proof of everything I mentioned. In the description, there are timestamps of what minute of the video you can see each topic, in case you want to see a certain topic first. Subscribe and like the video, and Santa Claus will bring you a gift no matter if you've been good or bad. Comment who this character is. Your answers will appear in a new video.
Star vs. the Forces of Evil and Gravity Falls take place at the same time. Star contains multiple nods to gravity, most of them are irrelevant. On this occasion, we're only gonna name 3. They are very interesting and end in a connection. In one episode, the same family is seen that were tourists in Stan's mystery cabin in the first episode of the first season. Only the designs of these characters were changed a little bit. The second connection we also see is in the same episode. However, this time we see one of the main characters of Gravity Falls, Zeus. We see this man in the tour group of this place. Although we don't get to see his face, only the side of his body. It's obvious that this guy is Zeus since he has the same clothes and the same physical resemblance. The third connection is observed in Marco's locker. At the moment when they let us see the locker, we can appreciate that in the part of the door it has the same logo that bends several times, of which Mabel loves. In the episode Boys Crazy, it turns out that this band was a fraud. This detail indicates that Marco is a fan of this band, as well as our dear Mabel. All this is seen while Star was living in the human world, since both series share the same things. It theoretically means that these two series take place in the same world, and even in the same timeline. Amphibia and the Owl House. These two series share so many things in common. For example, the main characters were transported to another dimension and then cannot return home. More importantly, and proving that both series take place in the same timeline but only in another dimension, are the comments of Amphibia series creator Matt Bradley. In a Q&A section on Reddit, one person asked him, "Do you think a crossover between the Owl House and Amphibia would be possible?" Bradley replied, "It's very possible. Let us know on social media if that's what you want. Dana and I can try to make it happen." This indicates that both series take place in the same timeline, but in another dimension. Also, in the second season of Amphibia, we meet a scientist, Dr. Frakes, who is obsessed with different dimensions that exist. She even has a portal that transports to unknown places. Frakes was watching different places, and one of these was the Owl House, the home of Edalyn, Hootie, King, and Luz. This gives to interpret that these series also share timelines. They occur at the same time, but in different dimensions. Amphibia and Gravity Falls. Trip to the Archives is episode number 26 of Amphibia's first season, and it's about how Anne and the Plantars enter the city's archives and get trapped in them. It should be noted that to see this connection, you have to have very keen eyesight or be specifically looking for this detail. At one point in the episode, Abahoop is pushing a stack of books that becomes unbalanced and falls, showing for a few seconds one of the books that were there. Among all these books, we see one very similar to Stanford Journal. That book contains all the mysteries of the place where Dipper and Mabel spend their vacations. This may mean that Uncle Ford may have lost one of his journals, since he had several books that were identical in which he wrote the things he saw. Remember that Ford was in different dimensions, and probably one of these was Amphibia. The connection doesn't end here. Then, in the second season, Amphibia had a crossover with Gravity. This is the most obvious of all. On August 8, 2020, the episode Wax Museum premiered. The Plantar family and Anne decided to visit a museum that was on the side of the road as they set out their journey. Some frog versions of Susan and Uncle Stan appear. There are many references in this episode, but we'll mention the most outstanding ones. In the tradition of Gravity Falls' use of cryptograms, there are 2 of them deciphered in this episode. One in the upper left corner of the clown frog painting that reads, "There is a Sus in every dimension," and another near the corner of the closet door that reads, "Dipsifica for life." This last one being translated, although badly written on purpose, says Dipsifica forever. Another funny detail is when Frog Sus breaks the 4th wall by asking Curator Pons the following. Say, Mr. Pons, do you ever get the feeling that we exist simultaneously in multiple parallel universes, completely unaware of the other's very existence?
Say, Mr. Pons, do you ever get the feeling that we exist simultaneously in multiple parallel universes, completely unaware of the other's very existence?
With this, it can be said that they secretly confirm the multiverse in Disney's magical world. Even Bill Cipher appears, specifically on the carpet of the Curiosity Hut, the Evil Wax Museum. Gravity Falls in the Owl House. This connection is the biggest one of all, since different theories have been created with such connections. In the book Lost Legends, it has connection to Ida. In the paranormal black market below Gravity Falls, a wanted poster with the face of this sorceress is seen. The reference does not end there. In another chapter where a monster discovers that there are 2 humans in this market, we see that behind the monster there's a cart full of small and big branches. Among all those pieces of wood, the scepter of the owl lady can be seen in the front part. It's unmistakable because it ends in a carved figure of an owl. This supposes that, at some point, when traveling between universes, Edalyn had trouble keeping her scepter with her, so she lost it for a few moments. Although we know that in the end, she managed to get it back and returning to the Boiling Isles. Owl is not far back. It also has connections to gravity. In Ida's store, Human Collectibles, we see for sale Dipper's cap hanging in the corner of one of the shelves of the store, lonely waiting to be bought. The next curiosity is a type of watch that's very similar and has the same shape, color, and essence to the main villain. They even share the same color palette. This other connection is appreciated in episode number 4. What stands out most about this episode, we see again this villain appear for just a few seconds on the Demon 101 board, which is a sort of guide to the demons that exist. A drawing is seen. It's a small drawing and it's hidden behind the main poster of the monsters, as if he does not want to be discovered. This means that Gravity Falls hasn't been the first place that Bill has terrorized. And it's not crazy to think that with his powers, he traveled to countless dimensions, doing bad things in each one of them and becoming a terrifying figure known to all.
Amphibia and the Owl House contain references to each other. Such connections can be taken as simple references. Some people take it as a commercial for the company's content. Whether one or the other, the point is that we see details that connect perfectly with both series. Let's mention some simple references as examples. In the scenes where we see Hunter's room, we see that under the pillow there is a sprig stuffed animal. When Willow is at home, we see that her parents have an interesting book with Hop Pop on the cover. In the episode where Luz asks Amity to be her girlfriend, we see that in the basement of Edalyn's house, there is a calamity box hidden among all the junk that the Owl Lady keeps. This is just a little bit of the bunch. I could go on and on mentioning references, but I don't think that's the case. Leaving that aside, let's talk about the multiverse that exists in the world of Disney's animated series, in which Amphibia and the Owl House are highly involved. Let's start by talking about the basics. How do you travel into the multiverse? Thanks to these movies that talk about venturing into the multiverse, we know perfectly well that to enter the multiverse, you need a portal. Now that we know this, and if we look for something similar in both series, it will quickly come to mind that there is a magical object that works quite similarly. In the Owl House, we have the magic door that Edalyn found many years ago. This door is a magical portal. During the series, she has made it very clear since Ida mentions that she has traveled to different dimensions and planets. One of these planets was the human world where she married Uncle Stan in Las Vegas. In Amphibia, there is also a magical object, the Calamity Box. This little box is a portal that transported Anne, Sasha, and Marcy to the Frog's Land. By the words of King Andreas in that last episode of the second season, the Calamity Box was very important to his kingdom because they used it to transport themselves to new planets which were conquered.
My ancestors used it to visit entirely different worlds. They were peaceful explorers, scientists if you will.
Now, let's see if in the planets that exist in the multiverse, there is something that connects them from one to the other. Curiously, in both series, they have many clues that prove that they have made trips to new planets and have returned telling what they saw there. In the scenes where Anne and her friends arrive at the kingdom of King Andreas, he shows a book containing insider information. The book reveals that the 4 planets connect directly to the planet of Amphibia. The world in the middle of the 4 planets is the planet where Hop Pop, Sprig, and Polly live. The planet that has the line pointing to an unknown point is the planet of the humans where Anne, Sasha, and Marcy come from. The planet next to it is rumored to be where Edalyn, King Hooty, and the rest of the family live. Carefully analyzing things, you find that there is a gigantic possibility that the rumor is true. What stands out the most about this planet is its water. It has a peculiar purple with pink colored water. One thing that is natural and stands out in the world of the Owl House is the color of the water. It is purple and pink. In such a way that this information exists, it means that the people from the kingdom of Andreas have gone to such planets with the purpose of exploring these new worlds and return to the kingdom carrying privileged data. The interesting thing is that to make the trip to the other places, they used a magical object that could transport people to these planets. It is possible that this object was the Calamity Box, because Andreas said they had the magic box under their power for many years. While in Owl House, it is 100% possible for a human to go to the Boiling Isles and return to their place of origin. Also, the characters that inhabit the dark world of Owl House can travel to the human world. Now we go to the human world where Anne and her friends and Luz come from. On this planet, we see that certain people are aware that there is a multiverse where there are planets that are extremely strange and dangerous, to which very few people can travel to. One of these characters is seen in Amphibia. Anne and the kids go to a laboratory of a scientist who is obsessed with the multiverse. The scientist even invented a magical portal to enter the universe and travel to worlds that are unknown to humans, and has also proof that these mysterious places exist. In this same chapter, we are shown proof. When Anne and the scientist are talking, we see that on one of the screens of her laboratory, a photo of Edalyn's house is seen. Although this photo does not look very good, it is obvious that this house is Ida's. It is totally unmistakable. This means that Dr. Frakes is in one way or another knew the Boiling Islands and took a picture of the house of the Owl Lady as evidence that this world exists. But for being a place extremely distant from where the scientist was located and not having the proper equipment, the photo does not look good. In the last chapter of the second season of The Owl House, it is seen that Luz and her friends return to the world of humans through the portal that Emperor Belos recreated. It is then that the guys go to Luz's house. At this moment, something totally spectacular was about to happen. In that small instant, we see Luz's mother cooking next to a tablet. And from what we can see, she is reading the news of the day. This news is about Anne, the main character of Amphibia. The headline of this news says, "Girl lost in Frogland?" Also, below it says, "Hoax?" Do you know what this means? Yes! They practically revealed to us that Amphibia and the Owl House share timelines and take place in the same world! This newscast covered all or part of the news. To do this logically, they had to interview Anne, and she had to answer questions that the reporter asked her. And at the end of the interview, they took a picture of her to place it in the report. The news was so big that it went viral, reaching Camilla's hands. In real life, we also found a fact that is curious and leaves you thinking that everything I just said is not a gigantic reference or coincidence. The release date of the last chapter of both series would be pointing out that they are indeed connected in every way we can imagine. The 2 episodes premiered in the same month, but on a different date and in different years. The Season 2 finale of Amphibia is called True Colors and was released on May 22nd, 2021. And the final episode of The Owl House, called King's Tide, was released on May 28, 2022. Disney took the trouble to release the 2 chapters in the same month, and the end of both chapters end up returning to the human world. This can be interpreted that Disney is trying to imply something slyly, and this would be that these series share the same timeline. Part of their story and their respective series takes place in the world of humans. Whether you want to accept it or not, the 2 series are connected in every way possible, and the evidence of this was this whole video.
At the premiere of The Owl House, we discovered many details that linked it to Gravity Falls, secretly showing that both series take place in the same world and almost in the same timeline. In the second season of the series, we obtain evidence that would be pointing out that Edalyn and Stan got married in Las Vegas. We took the time to research everything in order to present to you today 3 huge pieces of evidence that verify to us that, in fact, Edalyn and Stanley did get married. Like the video if you want The Owl House and Gravity Falls to have a crossover. First proof, Marilyn. In the second season of The Owl House, specifically in the episode Yesterday's Lie, it's revealed that Edalyn went for a walk in the human world where she committed many bad things. Even in the cafeteria of the town where they have her vetoed. Through this place, we learn that this witch is known by the name of Marilyn, as we are shown a picture of her which is autographed with the name mentioned. It turns out that this name was mentioned multiple times in Gravity Falls. Uncle Stanley talked about a woman he married in Las Vegas. However, the scene where he talks about his ex-wife is not in any of the episodes or books, but in the Gravity Falls box set. I'll read to you what Stan said about his ex-wife. He mentioned, "I was actually married for less than a day. Vegas situation. We reached for the same slot machine handle and it was love at first sight. Marilyn had hair like an airline stewardess and a neon pink shirt that said over 30 and very flirty. Man, I was putty in her hands. You should have seen the way she threw the dice. One right at my head. Turns out she only married me to distract me while she stole my car and all my winnings. I guess her name was fake and her hair was fake too. But you know, the love was real. She really was the one that got away. Like, literally, it was a proper getaway. She was chased by a cop car for miles out of Vegas before ducking out a door and into a canyon making off with all my loots. Sometimes I still think of her, that pale bingo hall skin, that one weirdly sharp tooth. Sorry, I'm getting nostalgic." With this simple description Stan gives off his ex-wife, it's clearly Edalyn. In one part of the description, the guy mentioned that this woman had a neon blouse. For those of you who don't know what neon is, it's a material that can be used on different things, and when it's in the dark, it glows. In this case, the neon was on a blouse. If we remember the things that Ida likes, we'll remember that she's fascinated by shiny things, so it's very likely that she wore a blouse like that. Also, in keeping with the uncle mentions, the girl wore a blouse with the phrase over 30 and very flirty. Ida has a cup with a similar phrase, which is seen in the second episode of the first season. Such a phrase says 30 and flirty. Since Ida likes this phrase, it's obvious that she wore this aforementioned blouse, which she most likely bought in Las Vegas. Also, in another part of the description, it says that she stole his winnings, which was money. Money is another of the Owl Lady's tastes. In one episode, she even agrees to take care of Bat Queen's children in exchange for money. One more thing he says is that she stole his car. This is obviously what she would have done, since in the human world, she can't use Owlbird to fly. As for describing her physically, he mentions exactly Ida's physical appearance. Pale skin and sharp tooth. If you think that all is a big coincidence, well, with these details from the episodes and books that we're going to present now, they'll change your mind. There are 2 episodes where Gravity Falls confirms that Stan went to Las Vegas and got married to Edalyn. In episode 5 of the second season called Susan the Real Girl, released on September 22, 2014, in the last scenes, Goldie and Stan go to Vegas to party. The credits of the episode were shown different pictures where these two are in that place. These images are very important because they verify that this man got married. In the first images, they show when they arrive at the place. The next images show where they are playing in the casino, winning a lot of money, and then they were kicked out. In the other images, we see that they are in a helicopter. Then it's seen that Stanley gets married but does not reveal the identity of the bride. And at the end, he and Goldie are penniless on the street. Episode 16, Roadside Attraction of the second season, released on September 21, 2015, explains what happened that night in Vegas. One thing that characterizes Gravity Falls are the cryptograms contained at the end of each episode. These codes are messages that reveal things we don't look at in the episodes. The message for Roadside Attraction says this: Carla McCorkle returned all his flowers. Marilyn divorced him after only 6 hours. Beatrice slapped him for being a cad. Old Goldie is the best girlfriend Stan ever had. What's interesting about this is where he mentions Marilyn, who comes to be our beloved Edalyn, with this data verifying that Stan married her, only that before the picture, Ida ran away taking the car and the money, leaving Goldie as Stanley's bride. Also, in the last minutes of this episode, Stan comments that he was married once, referring to that night in Vegas.
I'm no expert on women. Truth is, I've been divorced once, divorced once.
The book called Gravity Falls, Journal 3, published on July 26, 2016, they also mentioned that Stan got married in Vegas. In the chapter, Dipper enters Stan's mind. He finds that his uncle married a woman. Dipper narrates this: Uncle Stan getting married? Apparently, he wedded a waitress named Marilyn Rosenstein in Las Vegas for 48 hours. But turned out she was just trying to steal his car. A true scam artist. Maybe she was the right one for him. This proves that Stan married Ida for love, but she only wanted to steal his belongings, which is typical of the witch. She's always interested in money. In the other book, Gravity Falls Lost Legends, published on July 24, 2018, it states that the Owl Lady visited the town of Gravity Falls during her adventure, as we see a poster of Ida's face where they are looking for her. Thanks to this, we say that this witch was for a long time living in the world of humans causing trouble, to the point that they are looking for this woman to punish her. With all this data that I have presented, there is no doubt that the Marilyn that Uncle Stan mentions and who is the love of his life ended up being Edalyn. Second proof, Dana Terrace, creator of the series. In a Reddit Q&A session Dana had a while back, a fan asked her, would Ida love Vegas? Dana replied, she's been before. She wasn't impressed. This confirms the information we just presented in the first proof. Ida was in Vegas causing trouble, and one of the victims was Stan. She married him and stole everything he had.
At this point, the story of the Owl House has revealed several things, such as Bellis is Philip Witterbane and he comes from the human world. We also learned who Creepy Luz really was. Luz and Amity are already girlfriends, but we haven't learned more about Edalyn's background yet. There is a theory that was not so popular when it started to circulate on social media, and that is that Ida has a hidden daughter or son. Time has passed, and we have gotten to know this character a little better. From the data revealed by the series, everything points to the fact that this conspiracy may be true. Today, I am going to show you 3 pieces of evidence as to why we think the Owl Lady has a child. If you think the conspiracy is true, comment the emoji of the pregnant woman. If you think it's a lie, leave an XDDD. First evidence. She acts like a mom. In multiple episodes, Ida acts like a mom towards the characters. I've even lost count of the times she's behaved in such a way. Let's mention the most obvious of all. In an episode of the first season, Edalyn takes care of the Bat Queen's children in exchange for a lot of money. At the beginning of this fun adventure, we thought that she wouldn't know how to take care of these kids since she never gave us any hints on how to take care of children, but boy were we wrong! It turned out that she knew how to take care of them in a way that left us all surprised, even beating my mom because she didn't take care of me like that. There came a moment when the situation got totally out of control. The baby bats started crying non-stop. This made the owl lady take control of the situation as the best mom in the world. With a lot of love and affection, she fed them and read them a story with the idea that they would fall asleep. All of this worked perfectly. The kids fell asleep in her arm. Moreover, Edalyn herself fell asleep with the little ones at the same time. If you pay attention just in this scene, you will see that she had her own baby. The way she holds the baby in her arms and how she behaved during this whole episode is the behavior of a woman who has experience with children of that age. In other words, Ida is 100% mom. You might be saying, it's obvious Ida knows how to take care of children because she took care of King since he was a baby. I understand your point, but Edalyn didn't always see King as a child. She considered him more like a pet. In the chapter where the owl lady and King meet for the first time, Ida tells us that she thought that this animal that she had found was a stray dog. He took it home with her and put a collar and a name.
I assumed you were just some stray dog. Against my better judgment, I took you home with me. I'd gotten you the collar because, well, that's what you do when you get a new pet. When you get a new pet.
Over time, Edalyn grew fond of King. This affection grew to the point that she began to consider him as her own son, accepting that King bears the last name of Clawthorn. But this happened recently, now that Luz lives there. Before Luz arrived, the owl lady did not consider King as a baby, much less her son, but a pet. Also, Ida didn't take King seriously because she filled his head with false ideas. Although, these ideas turned out to be true in the end. However, this does not explain why Ida knows how to take care of children. There's a famous macho phrase that says, all women are born knowing how to take care of babies. Let me tell you, that is a lie! No girl is born with this. Here are 2 ways to learn how to do this. First, buy a course where they teach babysitting, or go with a family member or friends to help their children and learn a little bit about how to deal with babies. Second, have your own child and over time, learn how to care for and raise the baby. Knowing Edalyn, I don't think she did the first option, but rather the second. She fell in love with someone special and got pregnant, leading her to have a daughter or son. In the next part, I'm going to talk more in depth about who the father of Ida's child might be. So don't leave the video yet, it's getting good! At the end of the episode, the bats leave the house and Ida is left sad that she was abandoned. For a moment she mentions, we did it all for the money. However, by the tone of voice with which she says this, she implies that, apart from the fact that she did it for the money, she also had a nice time with the bats. Maybe these kids reminded her of her own child, since she says it with a sad voice.
Yeah, we did it all for the money. I miss my babies!
This allows us to say that she really had a child, but for some reason, she was separated from her baby. She even considers Luz as her own daughter and loves to be called mom. Before we continue, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you love Amity! Second evidence, Edalyn's life. If you're a fan of this series, when you hear the name Edalyn or Ida or Owl Lady, what comes to your mind are a lot of things that are directly related to this character, such as funny things, witchcraft, escaping from justice, and many more. There is something that is not so mentioned. Not to say that nobody mentions it, either it's not mentioned for fear of being criticized or because this series is directed to a specific audience and they don't want to get in trouble. Well, here I am, going to tell you, and I hope we don't get cancelled on Twitter. This channel is in the hands of my goddess Elsa, and nothing will happen! Ida's character consists of a beautiful woman who is strong and totally free. She can do whatever she wants with her life. When I say that she can do whatever she wants, it is literally that. She can party whenever she wants, and if she wants, she can have many romances. In the second season of the series, they let us see that the Owl Lady had an affair with someone who was very special to her. This character is Rain Whispers. In that chapter, we know that Ida and Rain were a couple a while ago. In previous chapters, we are also told that Edalyn has had many boyfriends, and the house where she lives, she uses as a hideout from the men who are madly in love with her. There is a gigantic possibility that she fell deeply in love with one of her former partners and got pregnant. This could have happened with an unexpected character. It could very well have been from our beloved Rain. As I said, these two characters had an affair. Remember that the Owl House world is magical and anything can happen. An example of this is Willow's parents. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain briefly. Both of her parents are men, and from what the series has presented, Willow is their biological daughter. In one way or another, these characters had a daughter in the natural way within the standards of the series. There's also another potential father of Ida's child, and this would be Uncle Stan. It's no secret that the Owl House and Gravity Falls take place in the same world and around about the same time. With all the data revealed by both series, it can be said that it is a true fact that Ida and Stan got married for a day. As this took place, it could be that Ida and Stan did the nasty. Anyway, you get the point. The true color here is that the Owl Beast had lots of romances. The most logical is that she got pregnant by one of her former partners. One of them may very well be Stanley, who would be the baby's father. If you had the power to choose the father or mother of Edalyn's baby, who would it be, Rain or Stan? Comment the old man emoji if you vote for Stan. Leave the emoji that has glasses if you vote for Rain. Third evidence, the age. Ida is a woman of advanced age. According to the fandom wiki, Edalyn is close to 40 years old. This means that at that age, a common character in this magical world already has children. And if she doesn't, it's because she's dedicated to serving the Emperor Belos, so doesn't have time to start a family. Examples of this are Lilith and Kikimora. They started working for the Emperor at an early age. Other examples are the parents of Amity and Gus. They're of the same generation as Ida and Lilith, who today have their own children. In this case, it is obvious that the Owl Beast had a baby at one point in life, but for some reason, they were separated. I believe they were separated because of the curse she has. The series told us that it took her many years to be able to control her curse a bit. When we first met Ida, the same series let us know that she is dangerous, or she is wild because of the curse and has never joined an Emperor's Coven. And using common sense, we can translate this to people would not let her raise a child herself for fear of something bad happening.
You're not the only human to have lived in Bonesborough. My great-grandmother told me about a human who once lived here, but one day he just vanished. Rumor has it he left something in the library.
The Owl House is telling us that Philip Whittabane is Bellis, who supposedly is the first human that has arrived to Bonesborough. Thanks to the info provided by the chapter, Keeping Up Appearances, it exists the possibility that Philip may not be the first human to arrive to that place. It stands that Ford may be the first one. Comment the laughing emoji if you think this theory is a lie. If you think this can be true, comment the hand emoji. For doing this, you also pay respect to Ford because he has 6 fingers. One of the most important things in Gravity Falls' stories are time travel and dimension travel. In a more specific way, we saw in various chapters of the series that Dipper and Mabel traveled travel through different times in our history. For example, to the past, where they lived a lot of adventures, and to the future, in which they had a trial for winning the mission of an agent from that timeline. It's even possible to travel to other dimensions of the universe. Stanford has been the main protagonist of a lot of them. A good number of them were interesting enough for him to write them in his journal. He even said that he has traveled through many dimensions looking for where he came from. That's why he knows that the Dice of Infinite Possibilities is banned in many dimensions due to the danger it represents. You can listen to this right now.
These things are outlawed in 9,000 dimensions. You want to know why? Look at those symbols. Infinite sides means infinite outcomes. If I rolled it, anything could happen. Our faces could melt into jelly. The world could turn into an egg. Or
with this information, there is no doubt that Uncle Ford probably was a while ago in the Boiling Isles, a place where he probably was searching for a way to get back to the human world. According to the information that we get from Gwendolyn, the Boiling Isles is a special place because in various points of this land, it exists a way that connects with other worlds, plants, animals, and even human world, because she mentions that us humans have a lot of junk.
There's a rare substance called Titan's blood. It is extremely powerful and sometimes causes leaks between our realms. Plants, animals, you guys have a lot of garbage, by the way.
If Miss Clother knows that our world has a lot of junk, it's because someone has traveled to this world. Maybe a human that arrived to the Isles explained to them how this planet is, or a creature of this place traveled to Earth and returned to the Isles telling them everything he saw. With this data, it opens the possibility that characters from Amphibia, the Owl House, Gravity Falls, and Star vs. the Forces of Evil can travel through dimensions. These 4 series have in common dimension traveling, and for them to achieve it, they only need to find a place on the planet that connects to that dimension, just like Star did, or get a magical object that transports them like Amphibia or the Owl House. If you want to know more about these 4 series, watch the other video that's been in the comment section. In this video, we show you that these 4 series occur in the same time. A proof that tells us that Ford was living in the Boiling Isles is the journal number 1 and the Book of Lost Legends. These books are canon. In a few words, the stories that contain these books count as a real fact in the story, and are canon in the Gravity Falls' timeline only that they are told by a book. Before continuing with the video, please support the video by dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. Also, if you give a like, you'll be even more handsome or pretty.
It's beautiful.
The Lost Legends book confirms that the multiverse and Gravity Falls truly exist. In the chapters, they take us to the multiverse where we meet different Mabels. We even meet Rapunzel Mabel with very long hair. By the time that this adventure has finished, Dipper says that that place was the multiverse. Also, this book is filled with connections between the Owl House. In this occasion, we're just going to mention one, because we've already talked about the other ones on this video. Edalyn got married to Stan in Las Vegas. This connection reveals to us that Stanford was in Bonesboro, and it's seen when Dipper and Pacifica enter the world of weirdness. As it's a very strange world, they take a look in the journal to see where they were. When they are watching it, we notice a page from the book has the name Bonesboro. Exactly! Bonesboro is the largest sound found in the Boiling Isles. If this page exists, it's telling us that Ford visited the place for a reason. Remember that the 3 journals were written by the one and only Stanford, and he even drew every single thing that we see in them. Since there is a page dedicated to the sound, it means that he was there. There is no other reason. In the chapter Through the Looking Glass Ruins, we can see for a few moments a book that looks like the Gravity Falls' journals. It's located in the donated books section. This opens a lot of possibilities. It may exist a 4th journal and Ford donated it for some unknown reason, or maybe he lost it and someone else found it and gave it to the library. We don't really know what happened, but we can assure you that this is a 4th journal. It's unmistakable. We are not done yet, because in the 3rd journal, Ford talks about magical doors. He mentions that he saw lots of people walk into doors, and the door with the person magically disappear, which Stan didn't know how this could happen. If you look closely at the drawing of the door, you notice that it's like the magical portal that Edalyn has. It even has an eye in the door. This has 2 logical explanations. The first one is that he was in Bonesboro before Bellis ruled. For that instance, many people had access to magical things like portals. Don't forget, Bellis forbid the people of the town to learn more than 2 spells. Surely the portals stopped existing because of him. The second one is that Ford watched our dear owl lady using her portal to reach a certain place when he was in some sort of dimension. It's probably this happened before Edalyn was captured by Bellis in the last episodes of the first season. This cute witch was savage because she was traveling around dimensions. It exists the possibility that one of these dimensions she visited, Ford was there. We can't really know exactly if Ford was the first human that arrived to Bonesboro. Maybe Philip Wittebane was the first one and Stan the second. What's pretty sure is that Sanford was visiting Bonesboro, living for a time, then he left, and for some reason he left a journal or forgot it. We're not saying it. The information is shocking. We're only presenting them to you. If you're going to say that all of these proofs are just references, let me tell you, they're not. Between these 2 series, they have a lot of connections, so it will be funny to link them as references or Easter eggs. If they share many things, it's because they are telling us that it happens at the same time, but in another dimension. I'll say this again. Ford visited a lot of dimensions before returning home. One of them can be the Owl House dimension.
Here ends this long video. Thanks for watching. Greetings to those who commented on the previous video. My name is Ciara, and we'll see you in another video. Bye!